Welcome, everybody, to Prolific Pulse Press podcast. We have the wonderful Rebecca Herz here today as we celebrate her new book, Locus of Control. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on here. You're looking great. It's been a couple years or so when your last book was published, Homecoming. And at that time, you were a newlywed. In
Yes.
fact, I think that we used a picture from when you were preparing for your wedding for your book
Yes,
picture.
I was in the dressing room preparing right before I put on my dress.
Yes, the magic of art and everything else. We changed it up a little bit, made that your author photo. I thought that was pretty clever. So this time, your photograph was your, I would call it your professional shot from your career
Yes.
as a social worker, counselor, several other hats. But then one thing I really noticed was that extra glow, not the wedding glow, but the extra glow of motherhood. And I think at the time you had that picture taken, you weren't quite there yet, but you were pretty darn close. And so I want to congratulate you on your new baby boy. Maybe you can tell us about him.
He is just starting to smile and coo and laugh, and it's amazing to see his development. He's almost 3 months, and we're really excited to continue to see his development. My wife carried him, and so I'm the non-bio mom. And I've really bonded with him and I feel really connected to him, which was something I was not worried about, but that I had heard can be difficult for the non-bio mom at first. But I really feel connected to him, and now I'm on maternity leave. So I'm
Um,
able to spend 12 weeks with him, which is really exciting.
oh, that's wonderful. I didn't realize that you got maternity leave. That is great.
His name is
Good.
Ori. His name is Ori Solomon, which means my peaceful light in Hebrew.
Nice. I remembered you had to keep the name quiet for a while. That's something
Yeah,
ceremonial that you needed to do first.
yeah, it was really hard. We tricked our family and friends into believing we were having a girl by making the registry all pink. And then they were really shocked. And then we had to keep the name a secret for another week before we had the bris and could reveal the name.
That's interesting. I had never heard of this ceremony, because I'm not, as familiar with, the religion. But that's fascinating. Is there something in particular that happens in that transition with the ceremony with the name?
Yeah, so the child is introduced into Judaism in
Mhm.
that ceremony. So he is entered into the tribes, so to speak. And
Mhm.
so it's a very meaningful ceremony. It involves the circumcision, and then the naming and some other ceremonial aspects as well. And it was really beautiful because our whole community came together. We actually had more people at the bris than we did at our wedding,
Wow.
which was really cool.
Yeah. Well, that is really neat. I love hearing about these kinds of things. And the more that we're educated, just because you don't belong to a certain relief, not really, belief or have, a certain affiliation doesn't mean you can't learn. And I think knowledge is one of the keys to peace. And the more we understand, the less likely, we are to be opposed or negative. Although hopefully I do well with both of those areas of try to
Me
keep
too.
positive. But
Oh,
I think
it's good to remain curious.
it
Remaining curious
is.
is very important.
I think there's a danger in feeling like everyone, a particular religion is singularly the best. I think it's a matter of your own development and understanding. I'm going off on another track. But anyways,
That's fine.
but on the other hand, I think that someone reading your book, where you do make some reference, um, I think it would be mind opening and help people become more aware of what the life is like from someone. Because in Locus of Control, you really, to me, I was trying to describe it the other day because when I was writing up a review piece on it, um, it really is an intimate book. It's really you bringing the reader into very personal aspects of your life, and owning that which is you, that is your worth, that is your value. And isn't that what we're talking about with the locus of control? Is to own ourselves and take our own responsibility for ourselves. And I just think it's a wonderful book. Maybe I'm a little biased or whatever. But I happen to just really love the book. And by the way, it is today. Of course, the podcast won't go up today, but it will go up soon. But today, January 15th, will mark this as the day of your official release of your book. And it's very exciting. It seems like you work towards something, and all of a sudden, oh, it's today. Oh, the sun came out. The book is here. And I've had a lot of comments about the cover. And I happen to know the cover designer because I'm talking to her right now.
Yes.
You designed Homecoming and had a lot of little intricate details in that cover, and I kept finding and finding long after it was published. I kept finding more stuff in that cover.
Yeah.
Locus of Control has little messages floating around, so to speak, on the cover. You want to tell us about that?
Sure. So I really enjoy Canva and informal graphic design. So on the cover, I have these little newspaper fragments, and my poetry has developed from starting with found poetry in magazine articles and newspaper articles. And I've always been really into collaging and sort of cutting things out and putting them together like a mosaic. And I also have sort of this upside down person with two eyes and then a hand writing. And sort of the kind of the process of writing requires us to take a different perspective, which requires us to reorder thoughts. And also the stopwatch, which is the book goes into time and how time can feel fragmented, and how do we take all the moments of our lives and make a cohesive narrative from all of those moments. So Locus of Control attempts to explore that. How do we take these moments and these experiences and create a cohesiveness, a reconciliation of what could be called opposites?
Well, you did a wonderful job in depicting that. And I guess kind of the goal, as a goal in therapy, is to work on all these pieces and to become a person that we're happier with. I mean, within ourselves, personalities. Now, your book is geared to support a certain group, organization. I'm not sure exactly how you term that. Can you tell us about this?
Sure. I've always been a big supporter of an organization called Jewish Queer Youth, JQY, because the organization really helped my wife growing up Orthodox and LGBTQ. And we've been to a bunch of their events and know the person who runs it. So I find it meaningful local organization. And I also work with a lot of LGBTQ youth in my work. I'm a middle school therapist. So for whatever reason, all the LGBTQ kids gravitate towards needing my services. And there are connections that I won't explore here, but between the two, but it is meaningful. And I felt it was appropriate to create a donation-based project. That's what has always been my intention for this book.
Well, good. I'm so glad. As if anybody has their eyes even half open, they should notice the um needs of, LGBTQ youth. And I know how it was when I was a youth. I mean, you didn't talk about things like that.
Yeah.
Where now it's a lot more open, but there's also that gray area, and then there's the black and white, the separation and in the dispute that happens with all of that. So how fortunate it is that they have someone like you to turn to help them as they sort life out. Life is hard enough as a teen, just trying to figure out who you are and what you're doing with your life. And then to add another element that is not always accepted, then it makes it even harder to accept yourself and to stand true to who you are as a human being. And so kudos to you for choosing to support this group and be a beacon for them, someone to come to gain a better understanding. Perhaps you could select a poem to read to us.
Sure. So the book is called Locus of Control Therapy Poem. So every title has to do with a therapy concept. So some of the examples are attachment, transference, active listening, radical acceptance, imposter syndrome, and on from there. And that was by design to sort of understand these concepts from a more personal level. Because every therapist has to do their own personal work or the therapy is not effective. The opening quote, "Wherever you go, there you are," John Kabat-Zinn, the sort of westernizer of mindfulness practice from Eastern philosophy, meant by this quote, there was a book written about it. And what he meant is to be present as yourself in every environment without judgment.
Exactly.
And I feel connected to that. As a therapist, a lot of my work is presence without an agenda and just to be there. And I think that that's important for people to understand because that's a lot of the work. Okay, so the first poem I'm going to read is Imposter Syndrome. Generation Alpha draws chalk figures on my board, laughing with ambivalent smiles. I am the therapist, meant to draw lines to a logical conclusion. I was trained in a vast, uncharted Zoomverse to care. A teacher pulled me aside yesterday to ask me about her student. "He's safe," I said, not mentioning the ER. I could not say the student showed sufficient evidence for imminent threat. This work can't be taught.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, and imposter syndrome in and of itself is a real challenge that so many people run into. There's all this stuff that comes from the book. How much of that do we really apply to our work? Maybe clinical knowledge, basic clinical knowledge, diagnostics, but there's so much you learn as you are therapists.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think a lot of the learning that I've done through writing is unlearning. Unlearning a rigid sense of what my role means. And meanwhile, also gaining experience and gaining knowledge so that I can be the best practitioner possible.
I think you're right on target there.
Yeah.
Do you have kids that you work with who have taken on poetry as a writer, writing poetry as part of the therapy?
So we do a lot of visual art. I have every medium possible in my office. And we do crocheting, and I actually advise the crocheting club at the school where I work. We do painting, we do all sorts of things. And when I first came to therapy, I was giving out a lot of worksheets, and the kids were basically doodling on them.
Right.
And I leaned into that. I don't call myself an art therapist. I'm not trained as an art therapist, but I did lean into that propensity for creativity. And I found it to be very healing in the child-led work that I do. When play is, for this age group, play does not always look like, let's get on the ground and do Legos, although sometimes it does, depending on the developmental level. It often looks like art and exploring concepts through art and self-expression. So I try to do the same thing with my work.
That makes perfect sense. Many moons ago, I used to be a counselor. I worked with kids, and I also used art as a way of expression. But I could learn a lot about a child by what they created and how they went about creating it and what they were drawn to. It's fascinating. I even explored the idea of going in to be an art therapist, and someone pointed out to me that really stood out to me. It was someone that was older and wiser and said, you may have a desire to be an art therapist, but would you lose anything about what you already do to try to help people? And really made me think that, well, I didn't want to lose any of the positive parts of myself in the work that I did. And would that change me in what I would offer them? So I changed my mind and decided to do exactly what I was doing. Plus, I didn't need to go through more schooling. But yeah.
There's always the drive towards more schooling. I thought about getting my MFA,
Mhm.
and what I've realized is an MFA would be great community wise, and I don't need it to continue doing what I'm doing. Because I did study English and creative writing in college, and that was 4 years of intensive poetry writing. So I do think I basically can carry those skills through without having to pay more money for a graduate program, although it is something I really considered.
You bring that part of yourself that you cherish into your work, and don't have to have a label behind it to make it work.
No. And this book is completely inspired by my life and my work. Without my social work degree, this and my experience as a social worker, a lot of this book wouldn't have been written.
Good point. Do you have another book in you that you're working on?
Yeah, so I have a series of poems that I've been writing. I have a listserv that I'm part of uh, in my community, and people will post ISO, in search of. And I thought that that was so interesting as a seeker, as a spiritual person who seeks questions and answers. And I thought, how cool would it be to write a book where every poem starts with ISO, in search of, and the book would be called ISO. And so I've been leaning into that. And since Ori has been born, I've been writing poems about being a new mom and really just honestly talking about it, because I think a lot of parents feel isolated in their experiences as new parents, it can be very isolating and difficult emotionally. And it's also made me want to go back and get a training on postpartum depression and anxiety, because this is an experience a lot of people have that is relatively underexplored.
Mhm.
So it's something that I'd like to explore in my next book.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to that. I'm sure I'll be seeing some of those poems. So I look forward to that.
Yeah,
Would you like to read another poem?
sure. So this one's a little longer. It's called Surrender. We are meant to trust in God. In faith, it's blasphemous to panic. There are so many forms of blasphemy, numerous ways to get excommunicated. I am willing to jump the fence, barring free will from destiny, and fall. I don't mind the dirt under my fingernails or the crops half drowned by this year's cicadas, whose casings remind me of walnut shells. In the beginning, before death and destruction, we floated on a raft in the middle of the sea. There, we felt safer than even now, which is saying a lot. No one floats on their back for hours without riding a few risky waves. Not one of us gets by without close calls. A canoe will capsize at least once for the avid rower. The more passionate we are, the more of ourselves we are ready to risk. We will all get the feeling that there is nothing left to lose. Yet there is, more often than not, little choice. We must pretend to have a say when it's clear we don't. I have my teenage clients list the pros and cons until there's nothing left to list and reflect on the cost benefit of every move. I'm sure, though I do not let on, there is no decision but acceptance. No one will see the changes they seek all at once. It's lucky if we even have the means to hope for change at all. Followers of the middle way demonstrate how equilibrium can save a soul, yet it seems there is no balance in sight. We are couched these days between two extremes, dancing in and out of each one without thought. Here's my creed. Always hang in the doorway, but never step fully into the room. In there live the shadows we abandoned as children. I used to hold on to my shadow for dear life, then left her back home with my helplessness. I became a hollow cell where the weeds grow taller than redwoods, wilder than a field untouched for decades. Marley said not to worry, but I cannot believe him. Even when repeated on a loop for years, I don't know if these words can stand the test of time, especially these times. I'll be surprised. Awe is a strange thing. I can't connect with fear, but awe gives me enough reason to love.
Very, very nice. Very in depth. And I learned something about you as a therapist as well. Excellent, excellent work. But we'll be celebrating your book at a book launch coming up in just a little more than a week. And so I'm hoping that there are lots of people that will come and share in that event. I'll certainly put a link in the show notes. And I already have it posted out on prolificpulse.blog. And so if people want to go on there and sign up for the book launch, that would be wonderful. We also have a lot of fun at those.
Yes.
And, I know, Rebecca, you're inviting a couple of people to do some readings, along with your reading your poems and having a discussion. Anything coming up in your area that you'd like to share? Or you got anything set up locally, or am I too premature on that?
So I am most likely going to be doing a in-person reading at the Bogota Public Library in New Jersey, Bergen County, and a workshop as well in the coming weeks. I also plan on having an in-person launch that is TBD. And I also have reached out to other libraries in the area that I'm happy to provide workshops or just resources for the library because I do like with my book, I do like giving back to the communities that I'm part of.
Is this organization that is going to receive royalties from the book? Are they locally based or is it international, national?
So they're based in New York City.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty local.
Do they have like a group that gets together from time to time and have events, or how does that set up?
They do. So they're mostly focused on youth. So I think
Mhm.
that their cap is maybe 22 years old. They
Mhm.
have a lot of therapeutic resources. So they have social workers there and have been providing a lot of therapy and that type of work for kids in the Orthodox community who are, queer and not comfortable coming out or don't feel like they can really be themselves. So it really is fully catered towards youth. There used to be more events for adults, but recently they've really streamlined it to focus on youth. So I would be happy to go and read. I also work per diem for a practice called Equality Mental Health, and that's with LGBTQ adults. So I did actually read at my clinical meeting there as well because I felt like the poems were relevant to what we were speaking about.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I think that, I know from my own personal experience and what most poets understand that um the value of poetry and how it plays a part in the healing. Even if you don't write poetry, reading poetry helps. It may bring out some other forms of expression, help people just feel better about themselves or find answers to what they're dealing with. So, um, I think you've reached a population that can definitely benefit from this. So that's great. I feel so inspired by what you're doing. And I just have to say, I'm just so proud of you to see. I've known you now for a few years, it seems, and um, just so proud to see you blossom and grow yourself, and excited about being a new mom and enjoy your little posts from time to time with your baby. And so sorry he couldn't join us today. Maybe he'll pop in at the book launch.
It would be
So
great. He must eat.
yes,
Um,
well, it's definitely.
one more thing I just wanted to mention is during the process of writing the book, a great poet, Andrea Gibson, passed away. And they were a staple, not just of the poetry community, but of the LGBTQ community. There's a movie out called Come See Me in the Good Light that was queer written and directed. It is an incredible movie that is poetry itself about Megan Fally and Andrea Gibson's relationship and Andrea's struggle with cancer, and includes a lot of poetry in it. So highly recommend it. It won Sundance. And besides that, one thing I listened to a podcast with Glennon Doyle, who's also a queer icon, and she was saying about Andrea Gibson that when she first read Andrea's work, she felt it was the first time that she saw and felt something true, and that saved her life because she was struggling to find something true that would inspire her and propel her to keep on going. And sometimes poetry can do that. And so, if anyone is out there who is really struggling and looking for something true, poetry might just be the way to find it. And I highly recommend Andrea's poetry to anybody who is looking for that. And also, if you are struggling, reach out to NAMI, reach out to 988, the suicide hotline. You're not alone.
Exactly right. Yeah, I'm quite familiar too with Andrea Gibson. I actually got to know her more through her wife and took her courses and found that I just love the way Meg teaches, and now she's just carrying on, keeping Andrew alive, really. They I actually listen to religiously a Handsome podcast.
I love the Handsome podcast.
It's my Tuesday and Friday evening entertainment.
Handsome
I
pod,
have
chatting
it.
with friends on the Handsome
Yes,
pod.
you sound much better than I would singing it, but I know that I had that in my head. It's like it's Tuesday and that song will play in my head.
Yeah.
Um, and
About the Handsome pod, so Tig Notaro and Stephanie Lynn have been major inspiration for me. And I've listened to, there was an episode of the Handsome pod with Esther Perel, and who's if people don't know, is a very popular relationship coach. And just about their relationship and being a queer couple and having kids and just everything they went through. And just having that example is so powerful. And they're friends with this wonderful community of people like Brandy Carlisle and her wife, Catherine, and, Megan Falley and Andrea when they were alive, and just how beautiful that community is. Mae Martin and Fortune Feimster. It's really just cool to have something like that to listen to and to connect with. And I think just like you said at the beginning, coming back around is it helps people to connect with people who they might not otherwise connect with. And it takes it down to a very human level. A lot of the concepts that are flying around out there and a lot of the rhetoric, it just brings it down to this intimate human level. And just like that podcast does, I really hope my poetry does that too.
exactly. Ray should send a copy of your book to them. And
I would love to. I'm so nervous about it, but like if I met Tig Notaro, I would be so starstruck. I would not know what to do with myself. I actually did meet Andrea Gibson as a college student. I opened for them when they came to visit for a Living Writers series. And it was, I don't know why I was chosen to open. I don't even remember what I read, but I took a picture with them and I cannot find it, which is so frustrating. But I remember really connecting with their work, which is very raw and emotional. And I appreciated that the words were accessible. It was not trying to be erudite. And I spent a lot of my college career trying to be erudite. And what I learned is that poetry that is erudite can actually distance people rather than bring them together. So I chose to write in my voice. What was my genuine voice?
Perfect. Well, Rebecca, it's been great talking with you today. We have a lot in common.
We do, which is one of the reasons I was so lucky to find you. I found you through a writing group that I was part of, and it was like through Shut Up and Write or something, and somebody knew you. And it was during when I was in social work school, and it was asynchronous, and I would do Shut Up and Write pretty often. So, and when I was writing Homecoming, and that's how I found you. And I just really appreciate our working relationship a lot.
Me too. I feel very fortunate to have you on my author list, so to speak.
Yes.
Well, Rebecca, it's been great. I'll see you at the launch.
Yes.
We'll be doing a little promotion around that time so that people have opportunities to get at least the Kindle copy of the book. And we have your book listed on Library Thing. It's been accepted, and out of the 10 books I've offered, they're almost all been requested. So I'm hoping that we have a lot of awardees for that.
Oh, wow.
If people are not familiar with the Library Thing, it's a wonderful place to learn about new books, develop community, and so also if you'd like to read and review books, they have giveaways which we participate in as the giver, and in return we get some beautiful reviews on books, well thought through reviews.
I love that.
Books, so I'm real happy with that association. I had never heard of it, but Lindy and Luciano was the one that told me about it, and I'm start listening to everybody. And your book is also listed with a group that I belong to through the IBPA, where or CLMP, and you find out about the latest books that are out, and your book is listed there, and provides opportunities if people want to approach you about interviews and that.
That's lovely.
Yeah, and if
Love
anybody
that.
wants to reach out to you about doing an interview, I'll put your email address in the show notes and your contact. And I'm sure that you would love the opportunity to interview with more people. And maybe being on the Hanson show, you never
Oh
know.
my God, that would be amazing.
Oh, good.
I would have to become a C-list celebrity first. We gotta work towards that. I have no interest whatsoever in being famous. None.
You should call a Friday question in.
Yes. I just wanna, you know, cuddle with my cat and my baby and my wife and go to work, do therapy. I don't want too many people knowing about me, but of course I can't really control that too much.
Too bad. I think we're already on that track.
Oh man, gotta withdraw. Gotta start writing more controversial things, and
And
that'll
you'll
end
have
my
more
career.
fans.
Oh man. Well, I hope we could talk more about the Handsome Pod next time as well.
Okay.
Very excited. Have to get caught up while on my bike working out and listening to the Handsome Pod. Um, so yeah,
All right. Well, that's all I have. I will let you go.
thank you so much.
Hug
And
that baby, hug that wife, and have a great life.
I kind of want to bring him down. I kind of want to bring him
You want
down.
to go get him?
Sure. Can you give me a second? Do you see
Oh,
him?
hello. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a handsome little fellow. Hello, in little blue and white stripes.
Say hi.
Right there, so
In my
beautiful.
dedication, he's in it. I was happy to be
Yeah.
able to add him. And oh, you're looking at. I would really like him to express himself through art someday. I thought
Mhm.
maybe a drummer would be cool. Um, but he'll decide what he wants to do. He could be a linebacker. I'd be happy as long as he doesn't get too many concussions.
No, no concussions allowed. Oh, he's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
he's my best audience when he's
Oh,
not
yeah.
hungry.
You have a candid audience there.
He's
He
great.
just looks so mellow. It's like, hey, man, I'm a cool
Yay.
dude. He's already looking like that
Let's
cool
do a
dude.
close up.
Yes, he's really rocking it.
He's good on camera. We do a lot of
He
FaceTime with my
really
parents.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's good. He likes his favorite things are bouncy bounce on the ball. We do bouncing on the ball. He likes listening to the Purple Monkey song on Fisher Price, and I've memorized the entire Fisher Price album. And he likes playing with a teddy bear hanging upside down on a bar that he can swat around.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Now that's the life.
it
That's the
is,
life.
honestly. I love him. Been taking him to the library and we've been hanging out in a corner. It's been great.
As adults, we can learn a lot from children, to just learn our joy,
Yes.
find our toy, and sing our songs and enjoy our life. A little
Yes.
bouncy bounce never hurt anybody.
Bouncy, 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 bounce. It would be really funny if we just spit up right now.
Oh, that would just be perfect. That'd be the
Say
perfect
hi.
ending. He's moving his mouth already. He wants to say
He
something.
does he has been making more sounds, which is really cool. Next time, hopefully by the next book, he'll we'll have a completely different
You have a
developmental
toddler.
stage.
Yeah, I have a toddler. Would probably
I
be
just can't stop kissing him.
exciting.
He's so cute.
Well, it's been great. Thank you so much. I
Thank
hope you
you.
have a wonderful rest of your day.
I'd say bye,
Bye,
Ori.
little one.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you. You too.